What's going on, my beautiful governors? Welcome to any Rise of Kingdoms video. Today I'm going to try to cover an important topic in my opinion, which is in KVKs where you can fight with one march only. The reason why I think it is important is because first of all, you could be a free-to-play low spender and you don't have 4 marches, 5 marches, whatever. Or you could be like me, maybe you got zeroed recently and you don't have the troops. We want to take advantage of those moments, those areas that you can fight with one march only. I mean, everybody can fight with one march only, which is like ruins, altars, etc. In these areas, as I said, you can only bring one march inside of this area. So when you bring a march, you want that march to be the best, the absolute best, and you want to utilize a few things. First of all, rune. Before you go into fights, not just altar fights, but in any fight in Rise of Kingdoms in KVKs, you have to grab a rune. I mean, you don't have to, of course, but you should. It's going to increase your results quite significantly. And on top of that, after you get a rune, preferably, I really like health rune, but sometimes you could get, 7% march speed, 7% attack, that is 14% of stats in total, and march speed, especially in those altar fights, ruins fights, is super important to catch your opponents and also being able to just retreating back safely. Now, after you grab the rune, the next thing you want to do here, as you can see on your screen, is applying a 50% army expansion. The 50% army expansion is massive. Like, if you fight with it and without it, you will see the difference. Like, you will see a huge difference on your reports. You will have more troops inside your march, and after you apply that 50% army expansion, if you don't have the 50%, because I know it's quite expensive, make sure to apply a 25% expansion. And after that, we have boosts. We have either attack or defense. I'm a huge fan of defense boost. As you can see on your screen right now, I'm not applying my 10% defense boost because I only have a couple of them and I don't want to use them, because when you use these things, when you use that army expansion or the boost, it is going to apply to all your marches, right? And if you're going to fight with one march only, you are kind of wasting them, because when you're fighting with one march and you have a 10% boost, it is in total a 10% increase of your marches, a 10% defense increase on your marches. But let's say you are in a regular open field fighting and you are playing with 4 marches from the same item, from the same amount of gems, let's say, this time you are getting 40% of stats, which is 4 times a lot better. However, in altar fights, you really want to have a boost, so I decided to just go with a 5% one, 5%, 10%, like, of course there's a difference, but it's not that massive. It's not like army expansion. Now, once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to bring at least 2 marches close to the pass. The reason being, once you are inside of this area with one march, another march of yours cannot get in. But what happens is, when you're going to retreat with that one march, the moment the march goes back from that pass to retreat to your city, then you can immediately put your second march into that zone. So what you're essentially doing is you are saving a lot of time, because if you are playing with just one march only, then every single time there is going to be huge gaps between the times that you are able to fight, because you are going to go all the way back to your city, you are going to just deploy that march again, and you have to wait for that march to go all the way to the altar area. So instead of doing that, you are going to fight with one march, another march, a backup march is going to wait at the pass, and once your first march is retreating, they are out of the area, they went through the pass, then you can immediately go in with your second march, and by the time that your second march starts fighting and getting down to yellow, so needs to retreat, your first march is back to the area, back to the pass already. So your second march retreats. This time your first march is just going to go in. What I'm doing is I'm using Ho Chubing Nevsky as my single cavalry march, and I'm using Guan Scipio. The reason is quite simple. I have really nice gear for 1 cavalry and 1 infantry march, and that's why I didn't want to go with, let's say, 3 marches, 2 waits on the pass, 1 is on the area. Instead of just splitting my equipment between 2 cavalry marches and 1 infantry march, instead what I did was just 1 cavalry march that is packed with the best equipment, the best armaments that I have, and also 1 infantry march. And there are a couple of things that you need to pay attention when you are fighting in these zones. If there are, lesser opponents, yes, you can start fighting with zoomed in version in Rise of Kingdoms. Maybe I'm too old for this, let me know in the comment section down below, but when I'm zoomed in, and there are a lot of marches, I just cannot tell anything. For me, it's just pure chaos, right? I cannot see where my march is. I cannot see which marches are around me or closest to me for me to attack. So I basically don't see anything if there are like, let's say, hundreds of marches. And of course, regardless of the march that you're using, you know your target, you are going to hit Zhuge Liang YSG and you will have a much better report compared to hitting a Pakal Herald or Attila Takeda or whatever. So the benefit is massive, but also if there are many marches, it is just, as I said, pure chaos, and I really cannot play like that. So what I do is, now it's on your screen when there are a lot of marches, I immediately zoom out. Now, when you zoom out, of course, there are downsides and upsides. The upside is, it is much more clear. You can see exactly which march is closest to you. By the way, I will be referring to this as dot mode. So when you're in dot mode, you can easily see which march is closest to you. So what you do is you just keep targeting the closest one to you. And also, of course, you can see exactly where your march is. So you know you're not too deep. That's what she said. And you can immediately retreat if you are kind of out of position, because you can clearly see where are the enemy marches, where is your march, if you are positioned well or not. And when you're in dot mode, what you want to do is, especially to not go all the way into enemy lines, is you always want to switch the target to the closest one. I know it is good that when you are just, focused one march, so you are taking them down, you are dealing a lot of damage and getting a lot of kills. However, while you are doing that, as I said, you could just shift out of the position. So instead of doing that, don't be greedy. Just always, that's what I do, always try to pick the closest targets to you. Now, the downside of the dot mode is the complete opposite of the zoomed in version, is that you have no idea who you are hitting. Let's say in the dot mode, there is this one, and I'm just hitting the closest one. However, that closest one could be a Pakal Herald, and right behind it, there could be an XY William, for example, or Guan something, or Zhuge Liang YSG, or a Boudica. And when you are in dot mode, you cannot see the enemy marches, and you are missing out maybe a lot of damage. You are hitting the wrong target, you are taking a lot of damage from that Pakal Herald or Takeda, and you are missing out on hitting those sweet, squishy marches that can go down super, super fast. That is for you to decide, but my advice is, when there are lesser enemies, you can play with zoomed in, but I always advise using simplified graphics. And when there are a lot of marches, in my opinion, you should always zoom out and just hit the closest targets. Another thing is, I specifically selected this clip, I did this on purpose, is that like a madman, I kept chasing, enemies in our lines, close to our pass, and they're just messing around, trying to pick up the marches that are retreating with low HP. You should never do that. It is completely waste of time. You can see like I did a lot of things, and those marches are all the time are super fast cavalry marches, and they are designed like that. Their job is to not get caught. And I seriously think that I could even use windswept set or something like that just to be as fast as possible. If you just keep chasing them, you're going to lose a lot of time, which equals a lot of honor in the altar if you're winning the area, on also a lot of kills. So don't just go ahead and try to chase these guys. They're just I know they're so annoying, but it is what it is. Go ahead and do your job. Fight with your enemy, fight with your murder ball, and try to get all those honor points instead of just chasing them like maniacs. And one more thing is, I think it was, I don't know, maybe like months ago, I made a video about tips and tricks video about Rise of Kingdoms, and I talked about it in that video. However, I just want to repeat myself again. In all those clips, you're going to see me recalling my marches when I want to retreat instead of just drag and drop. The reason being is that in Rise of Kingdoms, when you technically target your alliance zone, alliance area with your march, you are just going to have a lot of march speed benefits. You will move a lot faster. And when you just press recall, if, of course, that's what you should always do, your city needs to be in the alliance territory. If your city is in the alliance territory and you hit recall, what's going to happen is you are technically targeting a place in the alliance territory, so you're going to benefit from all that march speed bonuses. So if I just drag and drop, let's say, my march to retreat, it's going to move a lot slower compared to me just hitting R if I'm on PC, or just recalling my march to retreat back to my city. Of course, I'm not going all the way back to my city. I'm just using this trick to retreat a little bit, because when I do that, my march moves a lot faster and takes a lot less damage. Make sure to do that. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a quick recap how you should fight if you don't have, all those 3, 4 marches or 5 marches, enough troops for all those marches. What you should do is you should capitalize on those altar fights, ruin fights, and I think it's a great way to get kills with low number of troops. I see you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.